pay you. Are you a giraffe who only needs 1.9 hours of sleep a day, or a brown bat who needs 19.9 hours a day? In the Jungle Book, if you were in the story, how many creatures of the jungle would you challenge for a sleep marathon? A cozy welcome to Dreamy Campfire Sleep Stories. Follow my voice and embrace the night's calm for a relaxing sleep. Hush your soul. Let go. Let's put you to sleep. In the last chapter, we met Shere Khan and how he deceived everyone into thinking it was him who went on the rampage. But it was a massacre nonetheless. Why provoke menfolk, if you're wondering? Let's see what other creatures of the jungle think. In today's chapter, you meet Bagheera's friend from the Jungle Times as she's about to deliver the news of the incident to every corner of the jungle. But Bagheera also has an encounter with Paul Wolf as he questions how to raise a man cub among wolf cubs. Go to sleep with today's chapter. In the wee hours, Bagheera returned to his high bough. When Rani greeted him, he widened his eyes, for when did Rani welcome him the last time? He couldn't recall, but a short-lived welcome he received. Then she asked question after question about the man cub, and how well did Raksha take it. It's not that I'm worried about Raksha, Bagheera said after Rani didn't stop pestering him about the man cub. The problem will come from the pack. I don't see why they should include a man cub in their pack. If Akela agrees, then it might play out well to get him on the side. I just have a perfect round bear in mind to do the job. Baloo will fight Shere Khan, or even the man if anyone offers him honey, Rani said. Pushing to include the man cub would be easy for him. Where do you plan to get all that honey? That's for sure. He'll fight anyone or do anything for honey, but right now I only need him to back Mowgli. Mowgli, amusing name that is. Raksha gave him the name, and we can't complain unless you want to argue with her. I won't do it in 100 years. Really, Bagheera, why would I want to argue with the demon herself? Unlike you, I don't seek trouble everywhere I go. I prefer it like not touching a man cub, and certainly not giving it to the wolves. Speaking of trouble, here it comes, earlier than I expected. Rani glanced down and found Pa creeping his way. His eyes set in stone. He walked with nimble feet, but something about him felt rushed, so Rani said to Bagheera. Paul looked behind and nodded to himself. He continued looking over his shoulder as if someone followed after him, until he reached the foot of the tree. He checked if someone trailed him. Once satisfied, he called Bagheera and found him waiting on the lower branch. Saw me coming, Pa said. One advantage of living up high is you can see more, said Bagheera, and jumped down to the ground. So how can I help you? You shouldn't have brought the main cub to our door, Pa said without skipping a beat. Well, so did I say too, Rani chimed in. Bagheera looked at Rani and then at Pa. He said, leaving it in the jungle would surely have meant a death sentence, and with Shere Khan on rampage, I couldn't have taken it back to the man's village. He allowed a moment to Pa. I did the best with the option I had. Pa nodded and looked over Bagheera. But can you tell how to raise a man cub? That's a good question, isn't it, Bagheera? Rani said. I'm all ears for this one. How are wolves to raise a man cub, hey? She waited a moment and then added, guess he didn't think that. Poor Bagheera is losing his grip. Will you just... He looked at Rani as she giggled to herself. He shook his head and changed his gaze towards Pa. He smiled and said, I don't suppose it'd be any different than raising your own. He waited for a satisfied look that didn't come. Pa's face contorted even further, so Bagheera added, Is that what you're worried about? The way Raksha just jumped to accept the man cub as her own, he trailed off. Yay, I saw that, Bagheera said. I guess it's hopeless to ask you to convince her to let go of the man cub now. I kind of love my life, so yes, it's hopeless, especially after seeing her like that, Bagheera said. The pack. Well, you haven't had that figured out already. I hoped that you'd solve all the problems that would be coming our way soon enough. And here we're with you asking me how the pack will accept it. Working on it. Do it fast, or else Shere Khan will come from him, and then... Yes, I know, Bagheera said, looking straight at Pa. The pack's only hope, or else Raksha will kill me. Knowing well that I gave her the hope, and then failed to protect it, he swallowed and forced a smile. His smile worked for now as Pa nodded and sighed. Once Pa returned home, Bagheera sat looking at the stars. His tail whizzed through the air as his head lolled from one side to another. He kept muttering to himself, and that woke Granny up once or twice. The next time she woke up, she went straight to him and screamed into his ear. When Bagheera still kept muttering, she said, What is it? Bagheera looked at her from the corner of his eyes and said, Something doesn't feel right about this, Granny. Yes, of course. A wolf can't raise a man cub, she said. How stupid can you be even though you're the smartest around? You're still going about that even now. You're better asleep, Granny. What else then? Shere Khan, Bagheera said in unshakable voice. His words carried far heavier weight than Rani anticipated, so she did what she did best. Oh, there's nothing right with that tiger, I tell you, Rani said, nestling herself in her tail. You'd think of everything, and yet it just doesn't work, not on that tiger. The morning came swift and sudden on Dawn's wing, and all the creatures of the jungle witnessed the slaughter. All asked the same questions. Will there be another war when menfolk will come with tools and blood flowers, with their big elephants trampling everything in their way, and with mad dogs tearing everything apart with their bloodlust? How long before the menfolk's thirst is quenched? They looked to each other as if one seemed wiser to answer these questions than the rest. But soon all discovered everyone seemed lost as them, and despaired as the moments ticked away. The cold morning grew colder as speculations raged on. Bagheera set out to find Baloo after the sun had warmed up. Before he could get to Baloo, a parrot flying overhead called him. The parrot settled on a rock near Bagheera. Looks like the jungle time's being busy these days, a Tweety, Bagheera said. What can I say, Bagheera? You know the usual, Tweety said. Pleased. Actually, I was getting bored with all the daily happenings. Nothing spicy to talk about, and Viola. What you know, Shere Khan on rampage. Again, she waited for a hint of acknowledgement, but Bagheera kept his face straight. So what you know, perched on the high tree, you must have had a front seat to the event. Yea, I wished I hadn't been on the hunt, said Bagheera, but just being on the high tree doesn't mean I can see the whole jungle. Now can I? It's better to have a strong network, like yours, to piece information together. Times is getting boring with all the mundane news. You know me, I look for something like this. She spread her wings with a glee. So tell me, has Khan lost it again? What you think? Everyone else is, like me, More worried about men folk coming with blood flowers. That's true. Everyone's on edge now, and more the reason we should find out why Khan did it this time. Before Bagheera could answer, another parrot landed and said, I could smell some conspiracies cooking here. Tweety, Bagheera, how's it going? Pretty much like everywhere else, Sil, Tweety said and gave a look to Bagheera. Right, Bagheera. Pretty much, said Bagheera, glaring at Sil. How's Shere Khan, Sil? Haven't seen him around, and now this. Who knows, Bagheera, Sil said. A tiger is free to do as he pleases. See you guys around, Tweety said. I've got the news to deliver. Great, I got some stuff to do, said Bagheera. He put some distance but heard Sil coming after him. How can I help you? Now then, Bagheera, did you actually see Shere Khan doing, the thing? Sil said, hovering. Bagheera considered for a moment. Sighing, he said, no, but how I wish I could have had. It's not every day you see a tiger killing men left and right. Now do you? A little gleam danced in Sil's eyes, and then and there he excused himself. Now I know in my bones something is going on here, Bagheera muttered to himself.